Hey everyone, it's Sonia here with with me. I'm kidding. I have a special guest with us today. It's a heart to heart, but where I was hesitating was I almost said with Fresh Approach. But y'all know I'm changing that. I no longer have Fresh Approach Fitness or Fresh Approach Wellness. I still believe in taking a fresh approach to life, but what I started to do was harness on my brand, harness on me and the woman I've become. And that's why everything has changed to my name. And it sounds vain, but it's not. Really, it's just another household name that you're going to get used to. So, welcome to today's episode. We are doing a heart to heart with Sheila. And you know what? I'm not even going to tell you anything. I want you to grab your coffee or get yourself ready to go for a walk, get your chapstick on so you can not have any distractions and you don't accidentally shift gears while your phone's in your pocket and you're going for your walk or you bend over to pick up the dog poop and you all of a sudden lost where you were at. Doesn't that suck? All right, so here's a tip. If you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing, don't forget to take a screenshot so you can come back exactly where you left off, if you can. So, like driving and taking notes, screenshot, or get somebody to do it. Or better yet, don't do it. Um, we know better. But if you're out and about, if you can always screenshot and it will let you know exactly where you've ended off. And little tips, right? No, don't text and drive. Don't, but you can listen. You can listen to drive, right? You can listen to your podcasts, you can listen to a book, you can be a part of the conversation, and you can learn and up level your life while you're doing something. And that is so amazing. And speaking of amazing and powerful, I want to bring your attention over to my beautiful guest today,
Aw.
Sheila. Can you take a few minutes and introduce yourself, please?
Thank you, Sonia. I'm excited to be here. I love the vibe where it's very casual and it's more conversational. So I think I just need that at this time of day. It's been a full day. But I brand as a trusted business advisor and progress expert with Realize Your Vision. In essence, I'm a business coach and consultant, and I journey with highly aspired, committed, and honest women entrepreneurs, helping them to navigate the ups and downs of the journey so that they can increase revenue, profitability, and their vision for success becomes a reality. And that's just my jam. I want to be there for them when they are stuck because I believe that as entrepreneurs, we're taking action, and there may be programs and processes and all these little um, tactics that we take, and they're all very important. But we constantly get stuck, whether we realize it or not, and more often than we are willing to admit. And what I find that really moves the needle is when you get to that place where you're just not going anywhere and you know you're fully stuck, you feel kind of lost, frustrated. It absolutely has incredible value to have somebody that you trust, respect, of an authority in your court that can really hold you accountable for that greater version of yourself, get you fired up again and ready to keep taking action. So,
I love that. You saw me stop and make notes, and I make notes for a couple of reasons. Is I want to circle back to certain points in the conversation, and the second part is I want to make sure I highlight what's important when it comes to the show notes. So before we go too far, I want to remind everybody, if you're very familiar with podcasts, you know that most episodes come with show notes. And in the show notes will be all of Sheila's contact information. So you don't need to stop what you're doing and write everything down unless you're like me and there's always a pen and paper close to you when you are literally listening to podcasts. It takes me twice as long to clean the house when I'm listening to a podcast. Oh,
isn't
I
that
have
so
the
true?
clean house story for you that I do want to talk about today. And maybe I'll do it first and then we'll transition into some of the questions I have. So I have a question not just for you, but before I go there, I know I'm random. I need to come in. So you're our time zone right now, guys, we are 3 hours difference. So I am 3 hours ahead of Sheila. which means it is almost dinner time here. And I start my day off on Thursdays, and today's a Thursday, with an 8 a.m. personal development book club. So I get to geek out first thing in the morning. And now Sheila is the bookend to my working day, and I get to geek out again. So it's like, woohoo! Okay, so
I love how you put that.
in between the two geeking sessions, normally I would call myself an athletic geek and put the athleticism in there, but not today. You like how I put that, Sheila?
I love it. I love it. I'll be your bookend. I'll close off this day for you.
Perfect. And closing off our day, I'm bringing closing off our day to the feeling of being lost and frustrated, and I want to address this, but I want to share my cleaning story first because it'll get there. It'll segue, and if not, whoever listens to me often knows I just go off randomly, and somehow it all makes sense at the very end of the day. Um, so on Friday, okay, so for those that are familiar and regular listeners, you know that I'm working through some treatments for the inflamed nerves in my head, occipital and trigeminal neuralgia. So every 3 weeks, I go for needles in my head. 4 needles in my head. It sucks. Okay. But this time I did not cry. So I am learning to manage my life in between. Okay. So needles 2 days ago, normally I would block off after the last episode, and I did not do this. I decided this time to block off a full week afterwards, a full 7 days to give myself what I need for recovery. Now, Sheila and I, she's been amazing where she's let me postpone a couple times, being very understanding, and I'm so grateful for that because you just can't help this, right? So I'm learning to work with this. I'm learning to manage it, my life, with an uncontrollable, invisible chronic illness. So knowing I was going in and I could be knocked out for a week after, I cleaned the house before I went. Cleaned the house on Friday, and people showed up after their day's work, and I'm still cleaning, and I am singing with the vacuum, and I am singing with the mop, and I put both of them down and put my arms up and start shaking my booty, and my husband walks in and he looks at me and he's like, "Don't you think it would have taken you half the time if cleaning didn't come with the show? And maybe you wouldn't be so sore?" And I said to him, I said, "Well, here's the thing. The cleaning would never have gotten done if it wasn't included with the show because I sing and dance when I clean." So this morning at book club, I brought this up. Nobody else sings when they clean. So I was at the grocery store a little bit ago, about an hour ago, with Tony. We bumped into an old client of mine, and I shared this story, and she doesn't sing with her appliances either. So, Sheila, please help me out. Am I by myself on this?
Yeah, no, I was just sitting there. What really came to me when you talk about the cleaning and the singing, it's like you're trying to find joy maybe in a remedial or mundane task. I mean, cleaning is not exciting. There's some people that love to do it and they'll get into it, but when you really just want to feel like it's not a task, like I don't have to do it. I get to do it. I find singing, it's like cooking for me. I'm in the kitchen, I have to cook. It's not like I don't like to cook, but when you've had a full day, you know, I keep thinking about, can I just hire myself a chef? Because it is a process, but I'll put up a jam and I'll start singing as I'm cutting up chicken, tenderizing that, putting a little seasoning on there, fry that, grill that, whatever. Saute, bring out those vegetables.
Oh, I was doing something the other day. Oh, I keep on hitting my head even before the call, and I'm hitting the same side and not recognizing that what I'm doing because it's numb, right? It's numb. So when I touch it and it burns, it shouldn't. So there's
Yeah.
something different. Point being, so you're right. about the cleaning and about the cooking. It's about making the fun in the moment and taking away the oh, I have to, which leads to the feeling or amplifies the feeling of being lost and frustrated. Where,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
No. I'll explain my ping pong problem in a minute, but you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I sit here and I have so much energy, and people have reflected back to me that it's always fun and joyful. And I think it's so powerful, this fun energy, this fun mindset, because it can make the things that are hard in life easier. It also invites you to not resist it so much. And as business owners, I have to tell you, we do a lot of crap and stuff. I just shouldn't say crap. We do a lot of important things that maybe we don't like to do or we don't love to
Yeah.
do, and it feels hard. But if we can reframe it, add a little fun and joy, it becomes easier. And guess what? You end up doing things that normally you don't want to do or would do, and you're doing it like now rather than pushing it off or procrastinating. And to me, that's progress. So embrace the fun.
Well, it's embracing the fun and when you're in that moment of singing and dancing and full of gratitude for everything that you touch. So, you're putting the cushions back on the couch and it's like, I'm grateful I have cushions. I'm grateful I have a couch. And this comes out when you're so in the moment. So, here's the thing. You can't get stuck when you're singing because you can't think of the future. You can't worry about the past. You literally can't get stuck when you're singing. You look surprised, but it's true. By the way, you can't get stuck when you're doing aquafit, when you're boxing. Just saying.
It almost adds grease to whatever's dried up, and gives you that kind of traction. And I have to tell you, when you were talking, I just felt like it was a beautiful model and example of what it really looks like when we're leaning into gratitude, and how the positivity, the flow, the movement, the ease, all these good things that come from it. And we talk about gratitude and we write those journals, but how can we really apply it even to the most little basic, simplest things? And you think about cleaning, it's not, rocket science, but many times we don't want to do it, but we end up doing it. When you're singing, it gets done, right?
It's done. And the same applies, like you mentioned, to the stuff in the business. Something that would frustrate you. What if you played that background music, maybe that you wouldn't normally listen to, but that lifts you up? And I'm not gonna go on too much about this right now, but be open to change. Be
Yeah,
open to what moves you. If it makes you sing, believe it or not, stick with it because you're going to be able to focus on the task that you're working on. The task, so today's task led to frustration. One day or one task all day I wanted to do. I wanted to do this post and I knew what would happen if I did this post. People would inquire. So I needed to have that next step because the post is asking people to inquire. So it's actually, I don't know if you've seen this. Have I shown you this book?
um I maybe it looks very familiar.
Okay.
Yes.
So I created a book called Your Story Matters. It's a woman's self-love, self-awareness workbook.
Mm,
And what I wanted to show you quickly, it wasn't a plug about the book by any means, but in here I have, this is what inspired the book. Do you want to tell
oh,
everybody what it is that can't see it on YouTube right now?
yeah, no, it's this gorgeous, like, graphic image, and it says your story matters.
And it's an image to color.
Oh,
So it was
yeah.
literally an image to color. So what I've done is I posted this image by itself with a photo of me on it, and I said, DM me to get your copy. But all day I had to fix the stuff behind the scenes. Well, today was a day of 9 tasks. One, two, with so far 7 done, and only one will be moved tomorrow. So here's the thing. This task of doing the back end stuff was very frustrating. It just wasn't working out. And it
Yeah.
is absolutely amazing to have a coach in your corner saying, am I even wasting my time on this? Or, right? Like, is this an area that I should be focusing on? Or because it's not working, does that mean it's not in alignment? And I get
Yeah.
frustrated. So, if I was your client, how would you address a question, a task that is frustrating all day? Now, I nailed it. I finally got to it and I fixed something else while I was in there.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm really happy with what I was able to learn. But what advice would you give to somebody who gets
And,
frustrated on a task as a business coach?
no, and you know what? I love the example that you're talking about because it's so real, Sonia. It's so real. And if I was to say that there's no one else like you in the whole wide world, but how your story or sharing that experience is so relatable to people, even if it's not the exact same circumstance, it's still similar. And you know what came to my mind? It was so interesting. I'm like, oh my gosh, am I vibing her? Because I feel like she's just asking that question with all the thoughts that was coming to my head. And what came to me was the following. It's almost like for each person that I meet, it's embracing that you are so unique, the way you think, how you feel, and how you behave. And it's really about being present with you to recognize what is it that you want to do? What is it that's really frustrating you? But I think not only allowing you to share these thoughts, but then I think some of the things that I could do that is tremendously valuable is to be this powerful reflection of your truth. So I'm meeting you where you're at, and I'm listening, I'm feeling the intuition, the senses, and I see you, I hear you, I feel you, and I'm reflecting back who you are and what's happening in the moment. And the intention with all of that is to maybe broaden or expand the perspective of how you're seeing your life or the things that you're doing in this moment. So it gives clarity, but also infusing it with positivity. It's saying, are you frustrated with this? Now, there's so many things in one situation that comes up. And I wanted to touch on the fact that when I talk to entrepreneurs, especially, I realize that there are four fundamentals of the journey that I end up speaking on. So it's a combination or all. And this lands with what I'm trying to express, and I'm trying to find the best way to express it. And many times you just have to experience it to really know. But in any given conversation, when somebody feels stuck or is not in a place where they're completely aligned, they don't know what's happening right now, they don't understand how they're feeling, you know, the reflection ends up touching on one, transformation, your own growth and learning and discovery, strategy, the next steps. What are the actions that you're taking and maybe why? Self love and care. And this is not about a selfish, vain type of, love and care. It's really understanding what do you need because you're important. What do you need in this moment to get you back to a place where you are your positive and whole self, you know? And the last one, I put it under the umbrella of spirituality, but it's not about really preaching to you, but it's recognizing that there are things that keep us up at night.
Yeah.
So how can I help you find that peace and reprieve? So at any one moment or circumstance, when I'm talking to somebody and they're frustrated, it's really understanding who are you? What are you dealing with? What's going on? And then that reflection touches on multiple facets because when they come together, it's this beautiful, beautiful change, beautiful clarity, beautiful understanding. It can rejuvenate, inspire you. And at the end of it, I can't explain what goes on with the person when they receive this because I'm not them. But if they
Yep.
came in the conversation and everything was a downer, they weren't feeling good, by the time we're done, they're a whole different person. They're fired up. They were tired, but now I'm ready to take action and they feel good about what they're doing because most importantly, they see the good in even the poo poo or the bad.
The caca. People
Yes.
call this the caca.
Yes.
I'm sorry, it's got to be the caca. Okay.
The
I
caca.
the caca. So, I'm serious. I'm gonna double check. I think it's CACA, but I'm not sure. Um, it's a French thing. Um, okay, couple things. I need to go with. somewhere with you.
Okay.
Okay, guys, I'm excited. Sorry about this. Excited means a little distracted. I want to make sure first, without going too far off tangent, that I collected your four fundamentals so I can share that with our audience in the show notes.
Yes.
Transformation,
Yeah.
strategy.
Yeah.
Hang on, we got to read my handwriting. Self-love and care.
Yes.
And the last one is spirituality.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we got these four fundamentals, which I think is fantastic. And oh, where do I go first? Okay. First thing, when I mentioned I have a ping pong problem, you've probably never heard of the ping pong problem before. Did
Listen, but
I?
I've been in the game with the back and the forth and the back and the
Okay.
forth.
Okay. So when two friends are together, what normally happens?
Oh yeah, the ping and the pong.
Ping and the pong, we get excited, we tumble over each other, we want to jump in. And that's exactly what's happening here. It's two friends, like I mentioned, sitting there having a great conversation and excited to jump in. So when you're sitting there with your girlfriends and just shooting the shit, that's what this is like. We don't mean, or I specifically, I can't speak for you. I don't mean to trump or to interrupt. It's,
Yeah.
the excitement. It's the
It's flow. It's flow when two
flow.
women that are on the same page and are just present and we're just, like 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 reflecting and bouncing off each other. Like it's beautiful. It feels good. Like we
It,
shouldn't apologize or even have to explain it.
I'm not really apologizing. Okay, but I do have to share something. Um, The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People is the book I'm reading in the book club.
Oh, yeah.
Today's lesson was the last lesson in, was it the last? Yeah, the last lesson and the most important lesson. And I find it very interesting how your four pillars are very similar to the four dimensions of health that was brought up
Wow.
earlier today. So I'm gonna earlier today, like the fitting and the timing of this conversation is very interconnected on
Yeah.
many levels. Okay. First of all, today's lesson was all about the last lesson, which is called Sharpen Your Saw.
Oh,
Okay. I'm bringing this all up because this session, they said, is the most important one of all of the habits. This is the one that matters. Investing in yourself, which is exactly one of the ones that you talked about, self-love and self-care.
yeah.
So believe it or not, I did a post on Facebook and social media this morning. I'm not even sure if I shared it. However, it was all about TV being people's favorite pastime.
Oh,
Okay, so I did a post this morning and it was about TV being your hobby and how much TV people normally watch. But watching TV is the number one hobby in North America.
yeah. I
Okay,
believe it.
right? So I believe it too. So I put a post up about watching TV. TV came up in this morning, and now it's coming up again right now. Very interesting. So, investing in yourself does not mean sitting around watching TV. It's the polar opposite of that, right? Today's society is a little different, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
One of my biggest takeaways, besides completely investing in yourself, and I find this was like, wow, the person who does not read is no better off than those who can't read. Look at
Whoa.
your eyes popped out the same way mine did. So, you know, this statement, which directly came from the book, The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, I better write that down. Um, and I do recommend this read, by the way. Um,
I've heard that before. I mean, it's highly effective people are those that are successful, invest because they're constantly learning and educating themselves.
you are, and that's the thing. People that are reading are always learning personal development. So if you're listening to this, it's the exact same thing. And the other habits are be proactive,
Mhm.
begin with the end in mind. So you're thinking of your future self and you're reverse engineering.
Ah,
Put first things first. So what's going to move the needle?
yeah.
Think Win-win. How can we both win? So right now we're both winning by doing this. Seek first to understand and not just to talk. Synergize. Work with others and leverage their strength of team members to achieve goals, right? Again, a partnership, a collaboration, things you don't see enough of. And then sharpen the saw. So sharpen the saw is what you were saying about really believing in yourself and the transformation and the strategy, and especially that self-love piece, and then the spirituality. The four pillars, somebody brought up the four dimensions of health
Mm,
and about living your life intentionally, which I think was magical. Four pillars are very, very similar: physical, mental, spiritual, and social emotional.
yeah,
So, depending
yeah,
on how you label it, physical, mental, spiritual, social, emotional is one. There's transformation, strategy, self love and care, and spirituality. So, for those that are stopping right now and making notes and leaning in, and you're hearing me talk about a book, and you're hearing me talk about these different fundamentals and these stages, what I want you to be aware of, it's not one piece, it's multiple pieces, multiple times, over and over and over again. That kind
yeah,
of action is going to help you understand what your values are, understand what your beliefs are, what your thought patterns are, but you can't do it alone. You're only meant to go so far by yourself. So when you had mentioned, Sheila, I loved the statement that you are becoming a reflection of your truth. That you, when somebody speaks to you, you then become a reflection of their truth. And
yes.
would you agree, would you say that spirit shows up, that somebody else, that there's an extra energy that shows up when you're on these calls for you to make that statement?
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm being a reflection of their truth, but you know what? When you said it, there is really a depth of truth in that because, when people show up, it's like this: when people project, it's they're saying they're projecting because you triggered something in them, but they're what they think, feel, and how they behave towards what got triggered really has nothing to do with you, but they're responding to something because maybe what they saw in you was something that they desired for themselves and they didn't even know
Yeah,
you
they didn't
know?
even.
And so when we talk about this thing, it's crazy because I'm highly analytical, I'm extremely intuitive, and I have my whole life, people have talked about my energy, and I didn't really understand the level of, the fact that I'm empathic. So I feel. And so, yes, that reflection of truth, it's because I'm sitting there, I'm listening, I'm seeing you. I'm understanding the situation that you came from. I'm analyzing, I'm sensing, I'm feeling. And so, but when I come back and I reflect it, there is such a connection. I don't know how to explain it. They can feel that I'm coming from a place of love, of leadership and support. And so when I'm sharing things with them, whether it's good, or I wouldn't even say bad, it's a discovery of something that you may not know. And off the cuff, you may think, oh, I just learned I was a little controlling and that may not be pleasant, but that understanding or awareness is actually good, but they feel it and they're able to receive it. So, but when I'm reflecting back, this place of love, this honesty, this truth, it enables them to now see themselves better and to receive it. And you know what came to me when you were talking? I was sitting there, here's the journey. When you're moving forward and I'm having a conversation, at any one moment, an entrepreneur is dealing with how do I change and become better? What are the actions I need to take to really move forward? I'm not feeling good about myself. So how can I care so that I can either maintain my energy, my mindset in a positive way so I can keep moving forward. And if things are really heavy and it's keeping me up at night, what are the things that I can do for me that works for me so that this doesn't have any control and keeps me stuck and sucks my energy? But when this happens and somebody gives you a reflection of your truth, you know what's happening? you're forced to take accountability and be mindful of how you're thinking, how you're feeling, and how you're going to behave or decide to respond to it. See? So I just feel like there's so many dimensions to all of this and how it plays, just like you said.
Well, there is, and the fact that, oh, again, let me pause for a second. There is so much truth to what gets discovered when you open up and say something. And it's always a surprise, and it is typically something that hits you after, where you learn about yourself and not
Yeah.
in the moment. And I want to share that piece because that is the piece that is so important. It's not a now thing. In most cases, you're not getting the aha moment. It's a slow and gradual, all of a sudden, oh, this is where I'm at. I'm no longer stuck. I have learned how to find fun in my day, and I've learned how to live for the moment. So interesting, because you were talking about a reflection, and I got this card this morning when I pulled from this deck, which I normally, lately I've been leaning on. It's the Four Agreements,
Okay. Oh, yeah.
and you were just talking about projection. And I was trying to figure out where this card plays a role in my life. And maybe it's just that this chapter is closing and I'm moving into the adaptation stage, which is, I don't know where it falls in year four,
Or the next
because
chapter.
I'm doing all of those. So it's next. Okay, so here's the thing. This card came up and maybe it was meant for this. Maybe it's going to land with some of you,
Uh-huh.
but let me read it anyways. It says, don't make assumptions. Say
Mm.
goodbye to sadness and drama.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me read the back of it. And I'm bringing this up because you had mentioned reflection and projection.
Yeah.
Okay. So normally, for those that are not aware, when somebody says something to you, it's not about you. It's about them.
Yeah.
And they're literally reflecting it and they don't realize this mirror work, which is what we were talking about when you share something with somebody, you're just getting it off your chest. That is very much like my I find it very fascinating as we're talking about this. I am releasing, and I don't know why. I kind of have like hiccup burps, which is weird, like right here. I've been
Wow.
rubbing my throat. I'm releasing something, and I even cracked my knuckles. And it wasn't until today that I learned that cracking your knuckles is a way of releasing as well. And I haven't done these things in a while. So I find it interesting. And I
Yeah.
was quite hyper before this call. So very interesting. Okay, so let's read the back of this. All of the sadness and drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. The whole world of control between humans is based on that. Take a moment and consider this. So I'm just going to repeat that one section. All of the sadness and drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. What are your thoughts on that? I see you shaking your head.
No, it's just deep because all these things in my own personal life has just like in a flash, situations, circumstances come up and like it's validating what you're saying. And I even remember when I was working in the corporate space, every time there would be problems, it's because somebody made an assumption. And I'm thinking, like, do not assume. If you don't know for sure what it is and take the effort to find out the facts or the truth so that you can move forward on that. But moving on assumptions is like there's room for error. There's room for mistakes. And I feel like the assumptions, if it's almost saying, well, I believe this is it, but I don't really know if it's true. But then you take the assumptions to be true, and then you find yourself following down the wrong or negative path or something that doesn't serve you. And I remember too sitting there making assumptions as a little girl of how my parents would behave in a certain way and took it like they didn't really, I wasn't important. And it was such a lie. It was so wrong, but it was an assumption that a little girl made. And I didn't
Well,
know better.
and it's and you didn't know better. You
Yeah.
didn't know better and you were young, and you're bringing up a little girl story. And I want to share another example where making assumptions limited me. So I had a
Yeah.
girlfriend who moved away. We both moved away for like, I moved away for 20 years. She moved away for 30 years, but we're both back in our small town. She just moved back like last week or last month, whatever the beginning of the month was. And I moved back about 8 years ago. So we kind of reunited. She came over the other night. We had well, I ended up drinking, I guess, her wine and my wine. And I don't normally drink that much wine as I say that and buy two things today. But anyways, that's not what this is about. So I've written books, as I showed you. I've showed you the one book. I've also been a co-author in 5 books, and I am thinking of what's next for me in terms of writing. I've already started to put some thoughts on paper in a couple of different ways just to see where things land. And I remember I never once in high school thought about being an author. It wasn't until I was a little bit older that I would loved to have written a book. And that's because my friend from school got amazing grades in English. My
Mm,
friend at school, the same friend I'm sharing with you about here, she was amazing. Like, so I want to say so much better than I was, but I really don't know. I don't know because knowing what I know of myself now, you take those pieces out, how different were we really? So my side of the story is I took French immersion growing up, so I didn't learn English grammar until grade 9. But
mm,
my essays and so forth were never corrected, or it was never about, I was always wrong on the grammar and the spelling. So you take that out of the equation. Once I learn one language and focus on one language, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
then
Yeah.
am I just as good? Or are my
Yeah.
grades different because I really don't know I didn't know grammar at the time. I confused my spelling at the time, and I still do. So I wonder if there's things
Yeah.
like dyslexia and a few other things like ADHD. Wonder. Well, all of my kids were recently diagnosed with either anxiety or ADHD, and my father, whew, so I wouldn't be surprised knowing it's hereditary. But that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying, knowing what you know now. But here is my biggest assumption. My biggest assumption when I was younger is there wasn't room for me. There wasn't room for both of us. That was a scarcity mindset from my childhood, from
Right.
being in high school, because I made an assumption, and that assumption was clearly made for not knowing better.
Yeah. You didn't know.
I didn't know. I didn't know there was room for more. So I'm
You didn't
very,
even know how you were thinking, probably. You didn't even know how you were looking at the situation and reflecting it as some limits to you and your talent and ability because you looked at something and let that be the measure. You assumed that that's the measure, and I'm not measuring to that, so there you go. I
that's
mean,
not, but how
crazy.
common is that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
We don't, we're even now, like I'm lost for my words a little bit, but even now, I don't see that there are restrictions. Yet I talked about my head, yet I'm talking about the books in my future, and I don't see roadblocks or restrictions, or that I do a lot. That doesn't cross my mind, right?
Yeah.
At all. It just, I need to get there. So that scarcity mindset can lead to frustration from a very early age. It can
Yeah.
lead to a feeling of being lost, and especially going through, so we've got our wonderful life here, and our wonderful life kind of ebbs and flows, and it goes in and out, and you can't really see my arms, but I'm doing something fishy.
Go higher. Go
There we go.
higher.
I'm doing something fishy. Um, there we go. Like our life goes in and out. And there we go. There we go. We
I
got
just
the
did a
groove.
wave.
We'll just do the wave. But what I'm saying here is there's no consistency, right? Like the one thing that's guaranteed is we really don't know what tomorrow brings. So my biggest lesson over the last couple of years, and I'm sure this is where some of your teaching comes into play too, is, in order to bring somebody back on the same page, we really have to get them to stop worrying Because when they're worrying about what's next, it's easy to feel stuck when they don't see results, right? It doesn't matter. I'm
Yeah.
a life coach or a business coach. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
We've got different approaches, but it's really, we're helping them move forward with their lives. So feeling lost, frustrated, stuck, where you're kind of in a room and there's no room for you, and
Yeah.
it's heavy, it's hard. But I'm going to give you a little tip. And then I would love for Sheila to give you a little tip, different than my tip, not just to agree with my tip. So,
Yeah.
what I've personally learned is forget about yesterday and what happened and let it go. Completely let it go. Stop thinking about things you can no longer control. Yesterday is done. And this is easy for me to say, folks. I've been practicing this because I've had to for 2 years now. Okay, I've had a
Yeah.
lot of time on my hands to sit there and watch the clouds go by, um, or improve my TV watching statistics, which I don't want to do. So, this is forced rest. How I see this now is, oh, and I'm going to be perfectly clear. I really think that God didn't like where I was in my life. So he just kind of picked me up, shook me around for a couple of years, and is dropping me back down. He's being a lot more delicate than that, but that's kind of what it feels like. A big difference in my life in order to put me back where I'm supposed to be on the proper path. So that's a positive way of looking at it. And when you look at it that way and you literally live for the day, you think about today, you're not feeling as frustrated and as lost because tomorrow doesn't exist, right? You're in the moment. You are grateful for the furniture that you are cleaning. You are grateful for the mess that the kids left in the kitchen because A, you have kids that are happy and healthy that can eat. You have food. So this level of gratitude when you live in the moment uplifts you. And when you feel that uplifted, you want to sing when you hear that song, or you start humming along, or maybe you stop wearing black, because that's huge for a lot of people, is they will wear dark, deep colors and maybe not leave their room or not
Oh,
leave
yeah.
their house. So for me, and I really had to work on this, I was really worried about the future.
Oh, yeah.
I was really worried about a lot of things, but it took me a good year and a half. It wasn't until the last couple months, maybe 6 months, where I've settled. No, it was this year sometime. And we're recording this in June of 2025. So it was this year sometime where I completely live in the present. Things are on
Yeah.
my calendar in the future. That's great. Do I worry about bills in the future being paid? No. At this point, I completely trust because I can look back on the last 51 years of my life. I'll be 52 in July, and see that everything's always happened. And that's the trust. And that trust shows up for me when I'm living in the moment.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I mean, it's crazy, but you just stirred so much in there. I'm like, how much time do we have?
Mm,
But what I really want to say with that, and I'm sitting here. So, you tapped into spirituality in the sense, or your beliefs in a higher source. I'm going to tap into mine, and it is God. But for whoever's listening, I hope that you can take what I'm about to say and connect it to, what your beliefs are so that they land and resonate with you. But what I've learned, even in my journey, the same thing. We're so used to planning, thinking about the future and how to get there. I learned that when we're doing that and spending so much time about the future, we're not present. We're not present. So we're thinking about things that haven't happened yet or what's to come, when really what's really going to move the needle to get us to where we want to be is what we're doing now. And then on another level, here, how about this? They said secret things are of God
mhm.
and the future is secret things.
It is. It's not our plan.
No, and so it's like if you're sitting there, you can envision what you desire. But then take that and bring it forth and start looking about all the possibilities of what can happen, because there's millions of ways that anything can go. But in this moment is what you can actually contribute and control. in
Mhm.
how you think, feel, and what you're going to do. And I found that when I learned to do that, yes, the anxiety starts to come down because I'm feeling this burden just offloaded. I felt this huge weight of things to come, and I'm carrying it right now. And now I'm suddenly like, why am I struggling so much with just what I have to do in front of me, which is plenty? There's plenty enough for us to do in this moment.
Yep.
We don't need to pack it on with tomorrow's stuff, with next week's stuff, with next year's stuff. It's crazy. And it might, and we're not saying that you can't have a vision and dream about what tomorrow is, but it's like be very mindful to go, if that's where I want to be, how can
Yeah.
I use my most precious time and energy right now to really move forward closer to that?
Well, and just like what you're saying, what is going to move the needle? And that goes back to the physical, the mental, the spiritual, the social, the emotional, or even your points. What areas do I want to transform my life? What strategy do I want to use? So I can think of these for myself. Self-love and self-care. Well, I'm applying self-love and self-care because I'm going to rest on the couch for the rest of the night after I eat dinner. We
Yeah.
just talked about spirituality. Going to church is one of my wins for being, it's one of my discoveries over the last 2 years is that I found faith again.
Mm,
And going to church fills my cup more than you guys will ever realize. It's sometimes the highlight of the week. If I can't go, I'm a little miserable. And
yeah.
I'm not singing. I sing at church, I sing at Aquafit. I suck. Guys, you gotta know my singing is not good, but it's not why I'm there. I'm there to move and to be in the moment.
Yeah.
And so, when I think about, okay, so my life has transformed significantly over the last couple of years in many ways. So we could talk about that transformation. My strategy for my business needs to change, and I'm starting to discover that. What I once did, I don't know if that's going to serve me as a business owner, right? So this is where me working on that link today and thinking differently of what I want to do is getting me closer to my end game. And when it comes to both transformation and strategy, your vision board will tell you lots.
Yeah, and I want to say something to that effect that really hopefully um, makes us really aware of why we're talking like this. I mean, if you really think about it, Sonia, we are all navigating life and or business if you're an entrepreneur, and we're navigating terrain that we've never been at before.
Yeah.
We're not fitting life into business. No, if you were called to become a business owner, well, that's part of who you are. So the entrepreneurial journey happens to be part of your life. But when you think about it, we've never trained wherever it is that we are in this moment, ever. Think about it. We were a child. We didn't know how to walk. We don't know how to talk. We didn't know how to feed ourselves and clothe ourselves. And then we learned that now we're adults. When does it stop? So this journey of life and business, I
Learning.
think, makes you really acutely aware of the growth that we are still happening.
I love
And
your language because I was going to say of what you don't know.
yes, no, and you know what I'm telling you, like having somebody in your court is really, it's saying if you are so committed, if you believe that you're meant for more and to do great things, and you see this vision of yourself and you're trying to achieve something that you haven't done before, and you're navigating this journey of life and business, and you've never done what's in front of you right now, it's so important to have somebody on your side to help navigate that for you or with you, because you don't know what you don't know. We don't know what we don't know, right?
So true. So true. It's so true. And in the work, no, we're not going to go to workplace conference. We're not going to go to corporate because that's a whole different episode. But but I just want to touch on this. When you go to corporate, you are hired to do one minute piece of the puzzle. That's it.
Yeah.
They say, and in many cases, a lot of companies, especially, in sales, they don't even have a calendar link set up yet. They think it's like almost backwards after you've been an entrepreneur to go into corporate and sit there and do one piece of the puzzle and be like, that's it. Like, or I have to call tech support and wait 3 days for an answer
Yeah.
when I would I would be fixing this, or I would have no choice but to figure out how to fix this. And you really don't know the complexities that come with it. And even as a business consultant and somebody to help business grow, a business coach, your information is based on what you're learning constantly, and it's based on what you're learning from your clients constantly. So it's very evolved. It's always evolved. You're always on top of your game. It's always changing.
Yes.
You're always growing. And that is a key takeaway because entrepreneurs are in it for life.
Yeah.
It
And
doesn't matter.
you're doing so much. You're
Yes.
doing so much. You know, when you sit there, you have a job, there's a position, and you have a lot of responsibilities. But when you're a business owner, you've got to do it all.
Well, you've got to do it all. And sometimes you don't know which one is going to move the needle. And then you're sitting there like kind of feeling frustrated because the small little task, what took me all day to figure out, could be what makes my books jump off the shelf at Amazon. Is there a shelf at Amazon? Okay, in my visual world for this example, there is a shelf at Amazon and my book's there, and it's going to blow up because of what I did today,
Yeah.
right?
You know,
And that could happen.
I need to reframe what I said. It's like as a business owner, say you have to do it all. I want to reframe it to say in business, there's so many things that is needed in order to really succeed. And
Mhm.
as a business owner, you have to address it all. If you're a solopreneur, yes, you're more likely to have to roll up your sleeves and put your hands in so many more pots. But then as we start to grow, learn, and choose better, make decisions that's going to serve us, we recognize, oh man, I'm learning what I'm good at and what I'm not. And in this part that I'm not, who can I help to supplement that? But you're still addressing the need. It may not be that you're dealing with it hands on right away. Someone else could do it. But however the situation is, our scope and how we're looking and having to deal with business is definitely exponentially more and complicated than if you just had a job. And I don't want to belittle anybody with a career because it's still important. You know
It's
what I
very
mean?
important, but it's very different.
Yeah.
And my best friend, she's a traveling salesperson. Like she goes from place to place, and I know she loves what she does. And sometimes I think I could do that, but I'm like, no, this I love the creativity that comes with this. Well, I love the creativity more than I thought, right? I love that my mind, just like you, gets to dig deeper. I love that
Yeah.
I don't love that I can't when I can't figure things out and I get frustrated, but you learn about yourself over time and stepping away and taking a bird's eye. I'm working on this big piece right now, which is a major strategy and a major transformation piece. I'm not sure how to get there. I'm not sure if it's going to be the right. In my head, it will blow up
Yeah.
more than anything because it makes sense that it will blow up. I have 90% of the work done, but I don't know what to do next or if it makes sense to do it. So, how I am handling it is I'm stepping back and seeing what comes. And yesterday, I received a reply email from an older friend of mine. And in the email, without her knowing what I'm doing, she had actually referenced somebody in YouTube for me to take a look at because she's starting to do it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So things show up.
Yeah.
And when they show up, when you think you're kind of taking a break or you're doing something else, and all of a sudden this thought pops in, it's a reminder to something that you said, Sheila. And I don't know if we talked about this before or not, but if you can't shake your business, so I can't shake this. Being a life coach, however it transforms, wherever it lands, helping people, inspiring people, sharing knowledge and information, and keeping things real so people know that we're not faking it. We're just like the rest of you right here, right now. And there is comfort in numbers. There is comfort knowing you have a partner in crime. I said the other day when I got my needles, I wish there was someone I could talk to. An invisible
Yes.
chronic illness is hard for somebody to understand.
Yeah.
Having it for the rest of your life is hard to wrap your head around, and a therapist won't cut it. And I'm not trying to be rude, but they're going to give me textbooks. At least like another life coach would get it. And I'm
Yeah.
not bringing down my therapists by any means because I do work with them. the conversation's different. It's a lot like what you said. It's more like reflection. The conversation's different. I
It
don't
is.
need reflection. I needed a hug and that it's going to be okay and I'll figure it out. That's what I needed. And when I finally kind of addressed that in my own way, I got it. We held hands a little bit longer on the couch and watched an extra show together. But if I would have said this, I would have received, but you've got to learn to communicate the first and be in that right frame of mind, right? I was sulking inside because I didn't like the news of forever. But
Yeah.
God's got a better plan for me. And you had brought this up. So let me finish my one thought. If you can't shake your entrepreneurship feeling, if you keep on circling back to it, maybe you get a job in corporate, but then you're like, oh, I'm just gonna work on my business while I'm doing that, or maybe I'll write a book while I'm like, if you just can't shake it, it's a calling.
Yeah. There's this tug, this constant thing that pokes that if you ignore it and deny it and it keeps coming back, what's going to happen? And you know what? You know how what I share with people when it comes to that is going, I believe everyone was created beautifully, unique, and for a specific purpose. So when you're not aligned completely with what you were created to do in the world, you're going to have that longing, that ache, that feeling for more. And you know what came to me? We were talking, even in corporate. So to even show the value in that, you were created. Maybe you were an HR professional. Maybe you were meant to be an accountant. But many times, even in your role or career, you still are like, there's got to be more than this because
Yeah.
we're not meant to stay stagnant. We're
We're
meant to
not.
constantly grow, learn, and evolve. And whatever that looks like, it could be, moving up the company ladder. It could be expanding your responsibility. It could be now in the space of management, whereas before you were just working. So do you see there's this constant evolution of growth and
Oh, there
it's
should be.
beautiful.
It there
Yeah.
should be, and it's beautiful. And when you're not, it goes back to that quote, the person who doesn't read is no better than those who can't read, right?
Yeah.
That was huge. It's so weird when I do podcasts and quote my book that I did in the morning. Like it's when it all happens like that. The last week I was quoting my Bible app. I'm like, who am I? I have evolved, and you had mentioned something, we get when this happened with my head. I was really sick that year. So this has been 2 years. So I had strep, then I got COVID, and I was
Mm,
laying on the side and I blew my nose, and I'm like, I couldn't get rid of this. I want to say headache from hell, and I'll explain a little bit more.
mm,
I was working in corporate.
mm.
I won't say where, I won't say what I was doing. I was working with corporate. There was a conversation with my manager who forgot what we talked about during my hiring process.
Mm,
And there was a lot I had learned in the time that I was there that should have been disclosed when I was hired. Okay, so
mm.
about the environment, the structure, the past, only because I was the manager. So it would have been important. And then I saw some bold moves be played when I started, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm not sure if I like this. So my eyes were opened, that my guard was up at this point. Things were
Yeah.
forgotten that had been discussed and agreed upon.
Mhm.
And I was feeling a little, no, very frustrated. Next thing you know, I've got this headache from hell that I can't shake.
Mm.
We're on a phone call. We have a conversation one day, and then we go home, and then the next day we're on the phone because I'm asking about a follow-up, something that didn't happen, which secured everything that I was worried about. It was like, okay, if you're not going to bat for like, forget it, right? You just kind of ruined my, what is it? What did the kids say? Yuck my, don't yuck my yam or something like that. Don't yuck my yam or yam my yuck or something like that. Like, don't ruin it. Like, I was feeling everything being ruined because I'm not a player. I'm just me. Like, right? So don't waste my time with bullshit. And sorry about the language if anybody's got kids on listening to this. Um, because again, if you've worked as an entrepreneur, you're coming to the table with a lot more knowledge and credit than what they're giving you because they only want to know if you can fit in this little box where
Yeah.
you actually fit in this big box or no box actually. And there's so much you can do, but they're limiting you
Yeah.
from the beginning. So he's like, yeah, go take care of yourself. I'm like, I really need to go to the hospital. Like, I could not even open my mouth to eat a salad. And I get to the hospital. My blood pressure is 222.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And my body. So they're worried about something happening with me with my blood pressure. I'm in the hospital admitted for a week with this. Wouldn't you know, that same job did the only thing they could do to get rid of me while I was on sick leave. And they merged with a local company, a local office in a local town.
Mm.
So legally, it's the only thing they could do. But again, it was the icing on the cake. Who does this when somebody is on a medical sick leave, right? So when we talk about things not being in alignment, remember how I said God lifted me up, shook me up, and put me back down? I don't think he wanted me to be there at
No,
all.
it was
He's
no, you
done.
weren't
Like
meant to be there.
you're done. You're not listening. You think you need to be in this space. You think you fit in this box. You don't. Move. You're going to suffer a little bit, but in this period of suffering, you're going to grow so much. You're going to evolve. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's not done. It's beautiful. And I've learned so much. And now everything integrates. So when you don't know what to do, when you're feeling lost, stuck, frustrated, the when you don't know what to focus on your bit in your business or in your life or in your career, the absolute best thing you can do is to focus on yourself.
Yeah.
And what
You,
advice would you give for somebody starting to focus on themselves?
well, you know, it's interesting. Let's say you're in this place and it's about understanding. The thing is we want understanding. We want to know what's going on and what's the understanding. And when you were sharing about your story and the experiences, it brought me to see, and anybody could do this, it doesn't matter how old you are. If we're a little bit more mature, there's probably more of your life that you could really look back and reflect on. But if I took a moment when you were talking, I looked at my own life and I just saw how it just whether it was school, then college, then a job and another opportunity, and then this working with this, and then the entrepreneur, there was always something that changed. And maybe in your situation, yeah, you were not meant to be there and you needed to be uprooted or something needed to
Yeah.
happen for you to move on. But when you look back, that you didn't start with that job and you sure didn't
Oh
end
my
with it. You know what I'm
goodness.
saying? It's like like your whole experience. That's what I'm saying, the life journey. And so look at how where we were taken, where we are now, and where we
Once let
possibly could go, right? And all the things that had happened to make us who we are now. And there's still more,
But there's
right?
so much more, right? So I love how you're taking that to that. You're exploding on it, you're expanding on it,
The
you're
bigger
making it
picture.
the bigger picture. And that's like when I look back on my bigger picture. So like I said, I'm gonna be 52. So I've had a few jobs because our generation, Gen Xers, we've had a lot of jobs, just the way it's been. And our baby boomer parents have criticized us for not being able to keep one job like they did. But the times are so different, right? So,
Yeah.
and that's as simple as that. It's adaptation at this point, right?
Yeah.
I've been laid off. So unless I switched from one job to another and I made the move, I've been laid off from every single job I've had. Every job in corporate. From my very first job to now.
I want to commend you for your honesty. It takes a lot of courage, whether you know it or not. But when people step into honesty to share something that could be very vulnerable, that could easily people would be ashamed of. I mean, I'm witnessing this. They won't even say it because they're ashamed to be like laid off or whatnot. It takes so much courage. I want to commend you. But it's like that example. It's going, you can control where you were at. What's to say that you weren't, like, were you really meant to be there? And if so, things could have been different, right? And so it's allowing just the adventure or the journey or whatnot to
Exactly.
unfold.
Well, and when we let that unfold, that means
Yeah.
we are living in the moment. and we're not worrying about it. So I'm at the place now where, yes, I can use the women on my vision board to help me portray where I want to be. But I love looking back on my vision board and being like, wow, that's happened, that's happened, that's happened without realizing it. So
Yeah.
I've learned, and I've got this on my wall, my affirmation wall upstairs, and it says, if it's not good, he's not done.
Oh,
Okay, so if life isn't going good for me, if I'm not shining bright all the time, if life isn't good, if my life is upside down, God's not done, right? So you're gonna get, I mean, if you look back on your life, you've received everything that you've ever wanted. You've evolved, you've got a place to live, you probably look back and you have surpassed every single thing that was a huge mountain for you at one particular point. You will too surpass this.
yeah.
Everything that's coming forward, and I don't know if I shared my railroad experience with you, what I'm doing with my arms, but I know I've done it on a previous episode and it's phenomenal. So, um, when we look forward, we know we're going to surpass everything but one thing, right? One thing we're not going to surpass. That's going to get us upwards. We're just at the end of life. So everything else, we're going to beat those mountains, conquer those demons, whatever it looks like. And I've also learned this really in a big way. With every new level comes a new devil. Okay. So the bigger the move, the bigger your mountain, the bigger your devil to get through it, however you want to call it. And here's the thing, you can't go around it, you can't go under it, you can't go above it. People try, you have to go through it.
It's crazy. I would tell people that when you're trying to climb a mountain, it's like we're all trying to figure out how to go around it, how to overcome it, but it's so high and I've never mountain climbed before, and like try to dig a hole underneath it. It's like you just can't. It's so funny. Oh, I tell you, it's probably really divinely, guided this conversation.
Well, and it's so if God, and I know we're using God very openly, but that's where I'm at right now and I'm okay with it. So I'm being led to say this. And I have to say, okay, it's weird. I'm gonna sidebar this for just a second. In my Bible app, which is just like YouVersion, it's on, like, you can download it.
Yeah.
It says, there's a community, or it says, who are you going to share this with today? And I started to see this message, but I've been spontaneously sharing this with people for the last 3 or 4 months, 6 months to a year. My best friend now comes to my same church. Another one of my best friends comes to my same church. Like, I've been talking openly about it, and maybe this is part of it. I don't know, but I'm okay with it. And I think that's cool because it's asking me who I'm going to share it with, almost like it's planting a seed,
Yeah.
and then I'm sharing it. And I'm not this super Christian person. It's just coming out. Oh, you got a thought. You got a download. What'd you get?
No, I was just gonna say it's like what came to me was, you're gonna get what you need. What we need may not always be what we expect or hope for,
Remember, we're not
but if we
expecting
can,
anymore. We're not assuming, we're not expecting. But yes, I get what you're
no,
saying. Yes.
yeah, but if you sit there and can trust that in this moment, I'm getting what I need, and it might feel uncomfortable, it might not feel good, but trusting that good can come out of bad or difficult situations, I promise you, when you move forward, you're going to be given a point in time where you're going to go back and you've gained enough experience, learning, and growth that when you look back, you're going to be able to see clearly what really came out of challenging and difficult situations. And I don't know about you, but for me, my heart goes on fire with so much gratitude and so forth. And everything that you're talking about, I feel like ultimately it culminates to this. We're all meant to do great things. And when we're moving through life, it is an adventure. You could try to plan it out. You could try to, map everything out and schedule each moment of every day. But there's nothing in this world we can control. And life's going to throw us things. And the more that we can figure out how to be flexible, own our own mindset, how we feel, how we respond, make right decisions so that it's positive and it serves us. Accepting that no matter what, from this on till the time of our expiration date, we're going to be constantly moving through life and experiences because we're learning and we're growing. And you asked me that question, like when you're frustrated or you don't have focus and reflect, like what could you tell them? And I was sitting there, sitting in that, because I'm like, there's an answer for it. And what I really felt was that in those moments when you might feel a loss, it might feel you might be frustrated or so forth. I think it's just maybe your own personal way, my own personal way, everybody's way of evolving, because an older version of yourself is like dying. It's changing. It's uncomfortable because maybe you want to stay the same, but you can't, because in order for you to achieve the success you desire, I tell every entrepreneur, you have to become this version of yourself that can give you that success. So you have to change. And so if it's uncomfortable, it doesn't feel good, maybe because you're not good, feeling good in your own skin because you're changing.
You are. And throughout that process, what we forget to do most often is to accept this part of us as well. To
Yeah.
accept the part that we're not comfortable with. To
Yeah.
accept the part that maybe is cranky or tired or needs to like to accept that this uncomfortable, vulnerable part of you right now that is mourning the life that you once had, that's okay.
Yeah.
Accept that. That's full acceptance. And once that happens, you lead to awareness and all of these other steps unfold. I'm so glad you answered that question. Like our audience needs to hear that there are options. Our audience needs to hear that not everything is the same. And I want to also share, we talked about music and singing, but moving your body is a great way to release feelings of frustration.
Yeah.
And it can be as simple, and I talked about this, it can be a workout. You can take an exercise ball and bang it or bang it against the wall.
Yeah.
You can simply put music on and dance.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Dance.
me.
Me too.
That's me. Yeah.
Like let it move
Shaking the
you,
booty.
shaking the booty, and or singing like again, church, and I don't know why, but oh my goodness, this is driving me bonkers. I've never had so much here. Um,
Don't know what's going on in there,
I
Sonia,
don't know what's
but
going on either.
let it happen. Just let it happen.
Well,
I was just going to say this. I feel like, and I'm not the expert, this I'm not going to lie, but I know that we hold a lot of things in our body. Every time somebody told me that, or the first time I had heard that, it felt like a foreign language. What do you mean? I'm holding it in my body. And it took me a minute to even develop a sense of awareness or a sense of what do you mean? And I know that if I'm stressed, it's in my neck or whatnot. So obvious, right? It's so obvious, but
my
I didn't
dad,
understand it,
my dad
But
wears
then
his shoulders like earrings. I'm like, Dad, you
yeah,
don't have earrings. Put them down.
exactly. But you know what I find is that if we're sitting there and we're holding stuff in our body, even if we didn't know, and you just start to move, like dance, it's like freeing, removing whatever it is that's
Yes,
just locking us down, keeping the funk inside, all the negative stuff. It's got to go. It's got to go. You got
gotta
to kick
go.
it in the taco.
Yeah. Well, and a great way of doing this, and we're gonna end on this note because I think we could talk all night.
Yes.
Um, in the shower, and I started here. Not that I never sang and danced before, but I think with this process, I started. Okay, we're gonna take these off. Because it's burning behind my ear. Sometimes
Oh,
I get inflamed
yeah.
and I can't wear them. But um in the shower, put your hands up above your head like this, move them like this. And even if you do that, you'll feel your whole energy, but now everything is going down the drain. Everything's going down the drain. It's just like going to the beach, but there's no way it's coming back. So you lift your arms up above your head, you shake them like this. And in my case, I think I'm like, thank you, God, for making it an amazing day. And it's in the morning. So I'm setting that intention. And from there, you can even see it's red a little bit. But from there, life just feels different for the day.
I saw it as
Yeah,
washing the funk away,
yeah,
cleansing yourself. And there's something very cleansing, purifying, therapeutic about water.
there is.
Somebody told me if you're not having a good day, Sheila, or you just been around people and you just feel so heavy, he goes, go take a shower. Every time, well, and I would do that, but I was never mindful. I wasn't paying attention or intentional. But when I sat there going, I'm not feeling good. I'm like, I'm going to go take a shower. The minute I do and get out, I'm so refreshed. And I felt like, ah,
And I can't stress this enough. I don't care where you're at when it comes to the emotional scale. I don't know if you're familiar. Are you familiar with the law of attraction emotional scale?
no.
No. Okay, so I'm not gonna. Mm.
Oh, we're grabbing a book.
Isn't it a problem when you know exactly where your books are on this bookshelf? Oof.
You should.
Everyone? Okay, so this is a crappy picture of it, but you can Google it. It's a colorful scale and it talks about the emotions and the law of attraction. And because I said I wanted to summarize this, but at the top in the lighter colors are the
Yeah.
good for you, like joy and gratitude, which is why we talked about gratitude.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But if you're somewhere at the bottom where, if you can see this, it says negative
Yeah.
emotions versus the positive emotions.
Oh, yeah.
And some of those negative emotions, are you able to read them since I can't read backwards? It's the
Uh, I could
yellow.
see part of it. Okay, they're like pessimistic, impatient, frustrated, irritated, overwhelmed, anxiety, boredom, doubt. Oh, it's going down. It's going red. Rage and hate, jealousies. Ooh, that's bloody. Guilt, insecurity, fear, grief, loathing. Oh, that's at the bottom. Powerlessness, unworthiness, shame. Oh, yeah. Rock bottom. You know what? So I've not seen this chart, but I
Oh, it's
am familiar
amazing.
with one similar. But I
Yes.
think it was grouped to kind of get a
Like a
range of the
spiral.
emotions. Well, this one's so specific.
This
Like
one's
it
very
eyeline,
specific, but
yes,
yeah, so there's different ones. I think I just use this one to print it, but I could almost, it's not my favorite one to show. But the whole point is
yeah,
you've got the positive and the negative, but even if you're sitting in the negative, go have a shower and
yeah,
sit there. If that's the only thing you can do today, it'll help shift your energy.
yeah, yeah.
So
No, it's so true.
on that note, what do you want to say to everybody before we sign off?
I think I want to say thank you so much if you have been here or are joining us or listening to it, whether you listen to the whole thing or a portion of it. And I really hope and that you walked away with something that served you. Every moment in our lives, it's unique circumstances. Where you're at is unique and specific to you. And if you're listening to this, there's a reason. And I hope that you got what you needed. Um, and I just want to remind you, you're meant to do great things. Figure out what works for you and know that you are absolutely loved and worthy.
I completely echo all of that. Sheila, we unpacked a lot today. We hit a lot of subjects and you're absolutely right. If you get a micro dose or confirmation of something that you've heard earlier in the day or something that you've been thinking about, and all of a sudden the show appears and you're like, what? Lean into that. That's a sign. If you're getting a physical reaction, whatever it may be, to anything that you hear, write it down. Write down the colors, write down the feelings. Lean into it because, can you hear me?
I can, but something
Okay, you can
shifted.
hear me, but I can't hear you.
Something shifted.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do, guys, since my mic is dying and I lost my other one in bed last night listening to an audiobook and I can't find it. Still, I searched all day. My husband said he thought he heard it drop, but I can't find it.
So, because we can't hear Sheila anymore, guys, I am going to sum everything up and thank you so much, Sheila, for being a guest with us today. I want to give you a big fat hug, but you're not here. You're in California. I mean, I guess that's an excuse to go visit a new state. We would have so much fun. We'd go on tour, a life and business coach collab. Woo, woo, love it. Events, public speaking. Guys, be on the lookout for Sheila and her information. I'm going to put all of the details in the show notes, and maybe you'll find her when you're walking down the street in California. I've got surprises up my sleeve, so I want you to stay tuned. Check out our events and our my Linktree page because there are a bunch of free new giveaways on there. And I will see you all next time for episode 191. Have a great day. Thank you.